So here's the thing, I am in a reading slump, and a pretty bad one. I cannot even remember the last time that I had the intrinsic motivation to just pick up a book and read, and I miss it so badly because reading has been my number one hobby, my passion for as long as I can remember. And so to not be wanting to do it has been driving me categorically insane. So I've decided that we're gonna fix this, and the way we're gonna do that is brute force. I am forcing myself through a 7 books in 7 days reading challenge. I'm gonna take you guys along with me on a vlog, and we're gonna see if I can actually manage it and if it manages to fix my reading slump. Fingers crossed. I think this will work. I think that if I just keep making myself read, and not just I'm making myself read every day because I refuse to lose my Storygraph streak, okay? I'm almost at 200 days. I can't let it go. So I've been reading 10 to 25 pages a day and just not really getting invested in any of these novels. I'm not picking them up for long enough to sink into it. But if I'm reading a book a day, then I am investing myself in a lot of novels really quickly. I'm making myself get all the way through them. I'm making myself get to the points where it's really fun and exciting, hopefully, because when I'm loving reading, I am reading a book a day naturally. So I know I have the skills, I know I have the ability. I genuinely think that I can do this. I genuinely think that it will help as well. So that's what we're doing. That is the goal. I have set myself a TBR for this challenge. It's not 7 books that I want to read in 7 days. Instead, it is about 14 books. It's right here off camera. You can't see it, but I can. It's right next to me. That I am the most, I think it's 15 books actually, that I am the most excited for on my physical TBR, because I didn't want to set myself a 7 book TBR because I am way too much of a mood reader to actually commit to that, and that would just kill my enjoyment really, really quickly. However, I actually have 200 unread books on my physical TBR, and having to look at all of those to make a decision every single day when I'm finishing a new book and looking for a new one would give me decision fatigue and burnout also super duper quickly and kill my enjoyment of this challenge. So I picked 15 books that I am the most excited for, that I genuinely, all of them spark interest in me. I could pick these up right now and read them. With the hope that that will limit the decision fatigue and also keep me invested in picking up new books without limiting me too much. However, I make no promises of sticking to this TBR. I do have 200 other unread books sitting on the shelves in the other room. So if I pick one of those up, I'm reading, and that's all that matters. I also have plans to go to the bookstore on Saturday. So there's a really good chance I get something then, and that I read that for Saturday or Sunday. I never said I was on a book buying ban. I just said that I'm doing a reading challenge. I should be on a book buying ban, but books bring me joy in the form of buying them, even if I have not found the most joy in reading them, because buying and reading, 2 different hobbies. I contain multitudes. I am an active participant in both. I'm listening to Yagiasi's Homegoing on my audiobook on Libby, and it is so beautifully written so far. I'm only 10% of the way through. This is a multi-generational story following a split of a family line in which these 2 half-sisters, one of them marries the English colonial captain of this part of Africa, I think it's Cape Town, and the other one ends up enslaved and sold off to slavery by this same captain. And you follow their descendants, their family lines, as one of them stays in Africa and goes through the tribal wars and the instability after and during colonial era, and the other one goes into slavery, and her children and grandchildren are enslaved. Her grandchildren are ended up how they get freed, what they lived through in Jim Crow, in Harlem, just all the way through present day in both of these different scenarios. Sounds very interesting. Heard only 5-star reviews. The 10% of the way through that I am into this one is genuinely so good. I've only been in one POV so far. I'm very curious to see how we do this kind of POV hopping in this one, because I've read 10% and I'm only in the same head so far. So I guess it's going to be kind of chronological linear. I'm very curious how this overarching narrative theme is going to weave in here. I don't feel like I have enough to know on sort of a plot, thematic, any sort of thing like that. I just know that I really like the character whose head I've been in so far. I love the writing. The prose is just luscious. I'm so excited to continue this one. I think it's gonna be well worth the hype. And then finally, my physical book, and the one that I'm actually hoping to finish so far today, is A Forsaken Prophecy by Stacey McEwen. This is the sequel to A Forbidden Alchemy, which is my favorite book that I've read all year so far. I gave it 5 stars, and this one is gearing up to be a 5-star as well. I'm only 150 pages in, which means I do have about 330 pages left to finish tonight, and it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But that's okay. I do have reading sprints coming up. I'm going to be doing reading sprints from like 7 to 10. So hopefully that will like lock in and I'll be able to get most of the rest of this done then, or like finish this then, but get a bit of it done before then as well, so that I actually finish my first book. And we'll have to see. I think that this is a deeply unique romantasy. It has alchemical magic system. It has like such intricate machinations, scheming, political intrigue. The plot of this one is just locked in. Like, you are so locked in. I am so locked in. I think it's so fast-paced, so twisty, so well constructed, and the character work is also absolutely phenomenal. I love our main characters. Like, our main character, the love interest, who is also like technically a POV character, but we have like the FMC is the main POV character. The MMC has like some POV chapters. I love both of them. I love their dynamic. I am so excited to continue this series. I know that I'm gonna finish this one and be desperate for book 3, which will not be out for like a year because this just came out last month, but it's gonna be okay. It'll be so worth it to like just have the experience of reading this book. I can't wait. I'm so excited, and I will check in at the end of the day to let you know if I manage to finish this one, how much further I get into homegoing, and how we are doing going on track for the rest of this week, especially because I do have a friend coming out to stay with me tomorrow and Wednesday, which means I'll be getting like a lot less reading done those 2 days than I will be the rest of the week, because I'm not going to be prioritizing reading over hanging out with my friend, obviously. So really, this is kind of like 7 books in 5 days, because I'm normal and I picked a great week to be doing this challenge. Yay! Let's get into the evening wrap up. Okay, so it's 11 o'clock at night, which means that we are done. We are done for the day. I am going to bed. I am not a night person. I don't want to stay up and read. I'm also not a morning person. I am a secret third thing, which is someone who has chronic fatigue and is just tired all the time. Update for how we're going? Not good is the answer to that. Day 1, already behind. I read to page 317 of A Forsaken Prophecy. It's so good. But I've been busy. I've been preparing to have someone come stay with us tomorrow. I've been doing homework. So I didn't get as much reading done as I wanted to. That takes me to 66%. So that feels like 2/3. I have a whole third of that book to read. Plus I got to 17% of Homegoing by Yagyasi. It's also phenomenal. I've read through 2 of the POVs, so it looks like each chapter is a new POV and we're just going to work our way down the family tree on both sides. Very interesting. I'm excited to see how the story progresses. Like, I don't know how you plot something like that. Like, I've because like there's going to be time gaps. Like, I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting narrative. I think it's going to be a lot less plot and a lot more themes, character, like purpose of a story. I don't know how to explain it. It's too late for my brain to function. So if this doesn't make sense, sorry. I'm very interested to see how it's going to play out, how we're going to find our way through this story and what it is trying to say. But 17% of the way into that, 66% of the way into Forsaken Alchemy, that's not good, especially because I genuinely think that I'll read for maybe like, well, I'll get some reading done. I'll just put on my audiobook while I'm cleaning up and getting ready for Grace to come over tomorrow, because she's going to get here probably about 11. So that gives me some time, a couple hours of audio listening while I clean up for her. And then she's here until like Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. I guess I hope to finish both of these by Wednesday and then just play catch up for the end of the week. And hopefully, I think it's definitely still doable. It's just going to be really rough. And I was hoping to give myself like a head start to go into these 2 days where I'm not going to be reading as much. And I did not. I did the opposite. I started out behind. So that's great. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I still think it's doable. I think I got this. Pray for me. It is officially day 2 of 7 books in 7 days, and it is 10:30 a.m. I got up a few hours ago. I've been listening to the audiobook of Homegoing while I get everything ready for my friend to arrive. The chairs are up because vacuum, and I got to about 30%. It's so good. I've already said that, but genuinely, I am just completely, I believe this is the author's debut novel, and her just skill and the level of her craft is so beyond what I've read from a debut before. I am blown away. I've gotten through 4 POVs at this point, and I love all of them. In like the fact that we only get like a chapter, a longer chapter, but still just one chapter in each head. And yet at the same time, you like grow to care about these characters and you can invest in them so much in that short amount of time. And following as we jump through different times in history, it's all felt very well connected, very rooted, and I think it's just so masterfully done. Like, this feels like a very difficult novel to accomplish, and so far it has been accomplished very well, which I just find mind-blowing for a debut. That said, I don't think I'm gonna get much more reading done tonight, audio or otherwise. My friend will be here in literally 10 minutes max. I am hopefully prepared, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be reading because she's gonna be here. I might like read 30 minutes before bed just to wind down. So that'll be like late night, and I'll check in if I do that. Otherwise, this might be the last you hear of me. Still 66% of the way into A Forsaken Prophecy, and now 30% of the way into Homegoing. If you combine those two percentages, it's almost 100% of a novel if we do our math that way. Girl math. Oh, you want to say hi? This is my little reading buddy. I'll send you a picture of me reading Forsaken Alchemy with him. He's such a sweetheart and he loves attention. Everybody say hi to Comet and wish me luck on catching up after hopefully a very fun couple of days with my friend. I'm really excited to see her, and I'm excited to continue both of these books, which is a sensation I haven't felt in a while. So I feel like the challenge is actually kind of working, hopefully. Hey, so it's going poorly. We're on day 3 now. It's 6 p.m. I'm not good at updating this. I'm not good at reading. My bad. Mostly I've just been really busy. My friend left early afternoon today. I didn't get to reading last night because I wanted to just be catching up with her, chatting, and we stayed up late talking because I never get to see her, so we had so much to catch up on, and it was so great and lovely, and I love her, and I'm so glad that I got to see her. I just don't know why I decided to do a reading challenge during this same week, especially because it's also finals week for my summer class, so I have a final project due on Friday, and that's most of what I've spent today doing. I read a little bit. I listened to my audiobook while getting some work done around the house, and I got to 45% of the way through Homegoing. It's still incredible. I did actually cry. I was moved to actual tears for the first time this time. I was reading Kojo's chapter, if you've read the book. So good, so heartbreaking. I mean, the whole book is dealing with just very serious, heavy topics, and it's dealing with it all. It's so beautifully written that it like really hits you on an emotional level every single time. I just don't cry very often in books, so I guess it says something that this one has moved me to tears already, not even halfway through, and I have every belief that it will do so again, and I really, really am looking forward to continuing it at some point, and also to continuing A Forsaken Prophecy. Everything I'm reading is really good, I just don't have time, and I'm getting burnt out, honestly, on just the existence of life. Finals week is always rough for me, even if I only have one project, even if I only have one class, just the knowledge of having a final assignment due is a lot, is rough, but it's gonna be great. I'll get it done by Friday, and then I'll have the weekend to read, except no, I won't, because I have things to do on both Saturday and Sunday. More fun things. That's great. I don't know. What if I read one book this entire week? I think I'm gonna lock in. We're gonna do this. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to read some more tonight after I do some more work on my project, and I will check in before bed. Whether or not I've read something, I will check in. And even if I'm just checking in to be like, nope, I'll let you know. We're halfway through. I've read 0 books. We're not. I don't know why I decided to do this week. I might try again next week if this goes failure up. Okay, so it's 11:30 at night, which means I am headed to bed. I'm not reading anymore, and quite frankly, I barely read. I meant to like sit down with my physical book, pick it up. I didn't do that. Have read 0% of Forsaken Alchemy right now, which means I'm still 64% of the way through that one. And I did pick up Homegoing again. I went on an audiobook walk actually on the beach, which was super duper nice at sunset. It was gorgeous. I had a really good time with that. The book is very heavy and sad to be reading in public on an audiobook walk, but it's just so phenomenally written at the same time. I was in my own world, and I am 67% of the way through that, so I will definitely finish that one tomorrow, especially because I am still invested in it. I picked it up today. I want to keep reading. I want to know what happens next. I just spent a lot of time working on homework, which I needed to do. I'm at least 2/3 of the way through my project, so I think I'll finish that tomorrow too and be able to dedicate more of the day tomorrow and hopefully all of Friday to reading and maybe get caught up in this. When I've been able to lock in and do nothing but reading in a day, I have read over 1,000 pages in a day. I've done that multiple times,
I think that I have to do that on Friday to catch up, or at least damn close. I might throw in a novella. I don't have any with me out here where I am staying for the summer, but I do. All of this was like trying to get my physical TBR down as well. I don't think I said that at any point, but that was part of the goal, in my head at least. So I definitely want to be reading books from my physical TBR. I do have 2 novellas back home that are on my physical TBR, so if I can get ebooks for either of those, which would be rough because they're more recent releases. I have Something River by Amal El-Motari, the author of one of the authors of Time More. My brain is not working apparently, but you know what I mean. And then I also have Naomi Novik's The Summer War. So if either of those are at my library, I'll probably pick up one of them to count towards the challenge, because I think that if I get through a novella, then we're pretty close. Or at least we have hope. Trying to read 300 plus page books for all of them will be rough. I might be like flipping through all of the books I have out here and seeing if there's any that are under 300 pages as for what goes next. But I think I can still do this. It's rough. I really wanted to finish a book tonight and I didn't. And that just, it's okay. There are other things in life that are important, and I'm reading good books and I'm enjoying the books that I'm reading, which I haven't been in a minute. So that's great. I think like both of my current reads are gearing up to be 5 stars, which is unheard of. I've only had 5 5 stars all year so far. And considering I've read like 83 books, you know? So I think it's going well, even if I'm not even if I'm gonna be crunching at the last minute for the last like few days of this challenge. I have a chance, maybe, hopefully, if I'm lucky, if I throw in a novella or 2. And I'm enjoying the books, and it is motivating me to pick up books when, like, I think if I'd been this busy and this, like, fried, I've been so fried. If I'd been this fried and not doing this challenge, I don't think I would have picked anything up other than, like, okay, I have to read a chapter before bed to, like, keep my streak. But, you know, like, I've been sitting down, I've been reading 20, 25, 30% of the book in each sitting. So we're working towards it. I think homegoing is so good. I'll check in with you tomorrow and let you know how it goes. Hopefully I finish homegoing, maybe even finish Forsaken Prophecy if I'm lucky, and finish my final project. Those are our goals for tomorrow. I do have a PT appointment, but I think that's all I have on my schedule, so I should have a lot of free time to read.
It is 7:30 p.m. on our 4th day of this challenge, and I've finally done it. I have finally finished a singular book. Homegoing by Yagyasi is officially my first read of the challenge, 4 days in. And is that a little bit sad, a little bit pathetic, a little bit of a failure? Maybe. But at the same time, this was a 5-star read, so I feel like that is also a success. It was so freaking amazing. It was not the book that I should have picked for this challenge. This is a book that it's slow paced. It's steeping you in the history of a bunch of different timelines, because it is a multi-generational family saga. And every single one of those stories is so heartfelt and heavy and heart-wrenching, heartbreaking, just gutting. I felt such a deep emotional connection to every single character, which I think says so much about Yagyasi's absolute skill at her craft. I don't know how you let us sit with a character for only 1 chapter, and yet they feel so real, so fully fleshed out, and I get so deeply invested in them by the end of their chapters. I am heartbroken for them when their hearts are breaking. I am angry for them as they face these injustices. I cried for several of these chapters because I was so deeply impacted by what these characters were experiencing. I just thought that it was so masterfully done. And this is a book that I would generally never pick up on my own. I mean, I'd seen a lot of reviews, and then I found it at a $1 library book sale, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna give it a shot. I didn't really know what I was getting into. I didn't even read the synopsis. I just knew that I'd seen it around and that it was a historical literary fiction, 2 genres that I am trying to read more of but don't generally gravitate towards. And I'm glad that I did not know that this was going to be largely character and theme driven, that there's going to be pretty much no overarching plot, and that every single story is more about exploring and slowly building upon the themes of the novel, as opposed to like following a considered trajectory that, like, you know, typical plotting of a novel. That's not here. But it feels more like a collection of short stories that build on a theme and then come around full circle, and like you get to see parent to child generational traumas, the impact that colonialization and slavery have had on Africa, on America, on the Black diaspora as a community. Specifically, this explores Ghana as the jumping off point. It follows so many characters through every single era of American history and through all of the eras of Ghanaian history as well, at least since the 1700s. And I did not know very much about most of like any of the Ghanaian history, and quite frankly I don't have the best US history basis. I was homeschooled and basically didn't do history because my schooling was a bit of a mess because of my health and all of that. I mean, I wasn't unfamiliar because these are talking about like pretty basic slavery, emancipation, Jim Crow, the Harlem Renaissance. Like I am familiar, I do know about all of those eras in history, but to just sit in them from this perspective in such a beautifully written, tragic novel was so deeply impacting that I know that this book is going to sit with me for such a long time. And I'm so glad that I kind of stumbled my way into picking it up, even if I wish that I had read it outside of this challenge so I could have taken longer with it and had more time to sit and let my thoughts kind of marinate before having to come on here and review it with you guys, because I don't know if what I'm saying makes a ton of sense or like even really expresses how deeply I feel about this book and how incredibly, incredibly well written and well constructed it is, and how much that I think that every single person should read it, even if you're not a literary fiction, even if you're not a historical fiction person. I think that this book transcends genre boundaries in the sense that it is solidly written within its genres, but in the sense that like if you are a person of like, and no matter what genre you read, I think that it's so well written that it's going to appeal to you. My tripod is casting a crazy shadow here right now, but there's nothing really that I can do about that, so we're gonna rock with it. And welcome to day 5 of the challenge. I have read one more book, okay? I finally finished A Forsaken Prophecy by Stacey McEwen, and it was absolutely freaking fantastic. Another 5-star read. I cannot tell you how unheard of it is for me to have back-to-back 5-star reads, and yet this challenge has brought that out. So even if we don't quite make it to 7 books, which I'm not giving up hope yet, but I will admit that it's going to be difficult. So even if we don't accomplish it, 5-star, totally worth it to me, and I count that as a success in its own right. But like I said, I'm not giving up yet. I have tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday to finish off reading 5 more books, and that is going to be extremely difficult, but it's not undoable, okay? I have a plan. Hear me out. I am already 15% of the way into Not This. My next audio read, which is Until Next Summer by Allison Ashley. This is a young adult contemporary romance set in a beach town over the summer, and it is dealing with friendships, growing up, and first love. I am hoping that it's very cute. It's reading pretty young right now, which, oops, I did have the book with me and it just fell off. It's like, hey, why weren't you holding me up? I exist, hold me up. Like it's yelling at me. I don't know, am I anthropomorphizing the book? Maybe, I don't care. Anyway, it's reading very young, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but it's just maybe young for like my personal tastes because I am not myself 16 years old. But I can get into the mood of it. I think it's gonna be cute. It might be Summer I Turned Pretty vibes. I think we've got a love triangle. I think we've got some like complicated female friendships going on. It has a lot of promise. I'm only 15% of the way through though, so I don't feel like I have a total grasp on what it's actually going to be about or how I'm going to like it, but it's definitely very easy, quick, fast. I'm gonna fly through this one. I will definitely finish it tomorrow, not tonight, but tomorrow. Tonight, I will be reading The River, oh no, I still can't remember what it's called, but I do have it downloaded on my Kindle so I can just check. The River Has Roots by Amal El-Motari. Let's see if I can pull this up and show you guys the cover on here. Here we go, here's the cover. The River Has Roots by Amal El-Motari. I am really excited for this one, have really high expectations. I gave 5 stars to This Is How You Lose the Time War. I love it. I'm not often huge on novellas. I just feel like there's such a limited amount that you can do in that time. And I always end up feeling a little bit underwhelmed because I'm used to full-length novels that are able to just give you more by nature of being longer. But This Is How You Lose the Time War is just the perfect execution. It sets the bar so high, and so hopefully this one lives up to it. I know that Amal El-Motari is half of the dream team that brought us that book, and I've heard really good things about this one as well. It's got fae, it's got fairy tales, it's got sisterhood. That's kind of all I know about it. I tend to go into novellas pretty blind because they're so short that it's easy enough to do so. I definitely think that I haven't started this yet, but I can finish it today anyway. I think it'll take me like an hour to do so. And so that'll get me to 3 books by the end of tonight. And then I have 4 in 2 days. But like I said, I'm already 15% of the way into this one. I only have like 7.5 hours left on 2.5x speed. That's 3.75 hours. I can definitely spend 3.75 hours listening to this. And then I grabbed as well, to finish me off, the 3 shortest books on my physical TBR. I'm hoping that I will be lucky enough for my Libby copy of The Summer War to pop in, because that's also only like 150 pages. And if that gets ready, then I will absolutely finish this in time. It's like I'm the next person in line on Libby. So I just really need whoever's ahead of me to return it so that I can do it, but there's no guarantee there. I do have these 3, all of which are under 300 pages. The shortest is What Feeds Below by Tatiana Schultz-Bahn. This is coming out from Naomi's imprint on Bindery. I'm so excited for it, and also very, very scared of it, because I don't do horror, because horror scares me because I am a wimp. And yet I keep making exceptions for when Bindery releases books, because I love supporting Bindery. I work with Bindery, and a lot of the people owning imprints are mutuals of mine, yet horror is not my cup of tea. I'm gonna read this one anyway. It is young adult, so hopefully it is less terrifying, maybe, but we'll have to see. I've heard that there are some like RPG, it's not a true lit RPG, but it feels kind of lit RPG vibes, kind of video game vibes, which I am always down for. And it's only 268 pages, so I will be able to fly through this one so fast in 2 hours, 3 hours max. And I'll definitely be able to finish it tomorrow. The Surrogate Mother by Frida McFadden is another one that I'm technically already started. I am 30 pages into this one, which is like 10%, because it's about 300 pages. Technically it's 308, so I have 278 pages left of this. Again, something I could easily do in one sitting. Frida McFadden's books are very easy to binge, compulsively readable, not super well written, but very simple prose that just makes it easy to fly through. I wasn't enjoying this one a ton. I was thinking about DNFing it, but I think I am so desperate to be finishing books of this challenge that I can't kick a gift horse in the mouth. What is that saying? How does it go? Whatever that saying is, I can't do that to this. I need to fly through the fast, easy to fly through books on my TBR, and this is by far going to be one of the easiest, so we're reading it. And the final book that I'm hoping to read that I think I could get through is Habits of the Sea by Shay Earnshaw. I would have to read this one on Sunday, and Sunday is going to be the make it or break it day for me. I have plans to go with my grandmother and spend a day out at the bookstores. It's like an hour away, and then we always spend a couple hours at the store, and then it's an hour back, and that eats up quite a lot of reading time. So I will have to spend every other second that I am not with her reading this book. And what was the other one? Oh, and this one. And if I can lock in and read both of these, this one's only 290 pages. It's totally, totally doable. And it's gonna be so good. I love Shay Earnshaw. The premise of this, as I told you earlier in the beginning of this video, sounds phenomenal. And also just atmospherically perfect, because we are set up to have a very rainy, gloomy, overcast, kind of unfortunate summer weekend. But I think that's perfect for a gothic, gloomy, island set book. We'll see. It's definitely a bit of a stretch. And I'm a little bit all over the place right now, but I did also want to talk a little bit more about A Forsaken Prophecy by Stacey McEwen. I feel like there's not much that I can say, because this is the second book in a series, and it builds so heavily on the first book, which is A Forbidden Alchemy. And that was my favorite book that I've read so far this year. I gave it 5 stars. I gave this one 5 stars as well, as I already said. It's just so deeply unique. It's an alchemical-based magic system about, like, they have this ore that's buried deep in the dirt, and when it's mined and then processed by people with a specific magical ability, it can be turned into an elixir that is able to give magical abilities to everyone else. But the main feature of this book is the political machinations, loyalties on all sides. Nobody is like quite as straightforward as you would think. I feel like the strength of this novel is in how complicated every single one of these characters is. No one is fully good or fully bad. No one is making decisions that are fully altruistic in any sense. They all have their own motivations. They all have their own gains that they are working towards. Some of them more pure than others, some of them much worse than others. Every single one of our cast of characters is deeply morally gray, and you love them and hate them in equal turn. I never knew what a character was going to do next. I would love someone on one page, and then 5 seconds later I'd be like, oh, they're the worst person ever, and back and forth and vice versa. I love a messy, nuanced character, and every single person in this book is exactly that, and it's executed so freaking well. It did end on a cliffhanger. I am champing at the bit for book 3, which will not come out until next summer. So that's gonna be rough, but I loved it so much that I will be purchasing a finished copy when I go to the bookstore on Sunday. so freaking good. If you pick up any romantasy this year, make it this series. It's truly, truly top notch and unlike anything you have ever read. It will blow your expectations out of the water, I promise.
I'm about to head to bed. It's like 11:30. I stayed up a little bit later reading, but I finished The River Has Roots, and I actually got the title correct this time. I really enjoyed this. It was not quite This Is How You Lose the Time War level. However, it was still absolutely beautifully written. Her prose is just so lush. The story itself was also very interesting, compelling. I enjoyed the characters. It just felt, I think, by nature of being 130 pages, a little bit meh, like a little bit lacking, like a little bit like I wanted something more from it, especially because there were so many asides that I thought were really fun and clever as the narration broke the fourth wall. I love when a book does that, but it took away from like the plot and the character development if like you have very few pages and you're dedicating time to doing that. It's a narrative device. It was interesting and it served the story, but it also kind of just took away at the same time simply because of how limited the form was. I also thought the magic system was very interesting. It's kind of like if you can weave riddles and use grammar to craft magic in a sense, like by twisting the meanings of words, by using riddles and grammatically conjugations. They talked a lot about conjugation, but I didn't see conjugation in use, but apparently that's magical in this world too. You can kind of twist reality through twisting words. I thought that was really interesting. I wanted to see, I wish we had time. I think that's my biggest like takeaway from this is I wish we had time to explore that in a little bit more depth because I left kind of confused on how and why this was working. Like it didn't feel like a very grounded magic system. It didn't feel very well explained to me, but I just think that there wasn't time to do that. It was interesting though, and I don't think it was poorly executed. I think it was done as well as it could possibly be done in such limited page numbers, page space. I also got 34% of the way into Until Next Summer by Allison Ashley. It's cute, it's very young, it's very YA, which is just not my cup of tea so much these days. I just don't think there's anything especially compelling about it for me and where I'm at and what I find myself interested in these days. But it's sweet, it's cute, it's very easy to just like mindlessly binge while I'm doing other things, so I'll finish it tomorrow for sure. I'm feeling a lot more confident that I could actually somehow manage to pull this off, having finished 2 books today and then getting a third of the way through another one. It's definitely still going to be a stretch. It's definitely still going to take some hard work. It's definitely still up in the air, but I feel like I actually have a chance for the first time. I feel like I've been kind of bluffing my way through at this point. Like when I hadn't finished any books and then only one on day 4, I was like, oh, there's no hope, but I'm gonna pretend, I'm gonna positive fake it till you make it kind of thing. And now I feel like I've faked it and I'm starting to make it, maybe if I'm lucky. I'm feeling hopeful. I'm excited. I'm ready to go to sleep though, and hopefully tomorrow I get another 2 books down and then we're right on track.
The lighting is atrocious because it is 10 o'clock at night, but you guys, I think that I might actually somehow be able to pull this off. I read 2.5 books today, or I finished 2 books. I am more than halfway through a third, which means I only have 1.5 books to read tomorrow. And then I've read 7 books in 7 days, despite the fact that I did not read a single book in the first 3.5 days. The first book I finished today was The Surrogate Mother by Frida McFadden, and I wanted to DNF this book so badly, and I think that was a big part of what motivated me to read it so quickly is because I just wanted to be done with it. Frida McFadden has really interesting premises, interesting twists. Her ideas are really, really good. Her execution of them, really, really bad. The prose and the characters in this novel were just excruciatingly one-dimensional and so simple and so rudimentary it felt like a 4th grade reading level. And the characters were also deeply unlikable, not in a like, oh good, unlikable character way. That might have been the intention, but you still have to want to read from these characters' perspectives to some degree, and I didn't. And considering I usually find Frida twists really, really compelling, there was nothing in this that like deeply shocked me. I think there was like one element of the twist that I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, I didn't see it coming. I guessed it a little bit before it happened, which I think took the swing out of it, but at the same time, it felt like such a minor element compared to everything else that was just so on the nose obvious that it didn't work the way that her twists usually work for me. The last 25% was like, I couldn't put it down, I was really hooked in, and I think she does like that, like, okay, all of the dominoes are really falling now. She does that well, and you're able to look past the weaknesses of the characterization and the prose because you're so hooked into like the pacing and the momentum that is unfurling in front of you. So I enjoyed that part, but all of the rest of this novel novel was actively painful to read. So would I recommend it? No. Will I read another Frida McFadden book? I own 3 more of her books. I think I'm giving her 1 more shot after this one. So let me know if I should read The Inmate or The Boyfriend, because those are the 2. I have like also the next book in the Housemaid series, but I don't want to go with that one. I want to try something different from her and see how I feel about it. So if you read her books, let me know which of those is the better to be like my last chance on a Frida McFadden book, because this was not good. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. I'm really glad to be done with it. I also finished my audiobook of Until Next Summer, and this one was marginally better. I gave it 3 stars, but it was very YA, very young, but I can forgive a book that. I do actually like a lot of YA novels, and even YA novels that read young for younger demographics. I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. I think they can be executed well. I think this was just not executed well. Love triangles hate to see me coming. Or actually, no, that's the opposite of what I mean. I hate to see a love triangle coming, and this was the epitome of boring men, or I guess in this case, boys, that I just don't understand why she... Okay, you know what? I thought one of the love interests was cute, was interesting, and she should end up with him, and then she spends so long interested in chasing after this other guy, and I think you could have made a compelling story as to the reasons why she was doing that, but the author just did not go into that. She did not deal with the, like, complications with her friendship, with her self-esteem of the main character. It was like there, but it just wasn't like dove into well enough to justify this second tertiary relationship, or like tertiary is not the right word, but the third part of the love triangle. We all knew who she was going to end up with. We all knew that this other one was just there to cause drama, and drama it did cause. I was giving this a solid 3.5 stars though, because I did like our main character. I really enjoyed the setting, and I thought, like, with the one love interest, I thought it was kind of cute. There's also a lot of cats in this book. I love that. So it was solidly going to be a 3.5, and then the last 50 pages, I kind of knew it was all going to blow up because we're building up to all of this like mess and teenage drama. And it just blew up in such a very rushed way and was wrapped up in a very unsatisfying way as well. I didn't like that. That docked it all the way to a 3 stars. Just how poorly the ending was executed, in my opinion. I don't think this one is worth it. Maybe if you're 14 years old, but even then, there are a lot better books out there for 14-year-old girls than this, or 14-year-old boys. Any 14-year-old that wants to read romance, I wouldn't recommend this one to them either. Maybe. It wasn't terrible. I wouldn't say, like, don't ever pick it up, but at the same time, there just is so much better out there than this. And then finally, on an actually promising note, I am 55% of the way into What Feeds Below, and I am solidly enjoying it. It's very fast-paced, and the world building, it does feel like a video game, and in fact, a video game that I would really love to play, actually. However, and when I first started this, I was like, oh gosh, it's gonna feel like too video game heavy. It's not going to have enough of it. There's a bug on me, my apologies. It's not gonna have enough of a narrative plot. However, that ended up being resolved really quickly, and we jump into an inciting incident that turns out this whole plot, and I think is really interesting. I think it stands on its own as a novel, not feeling too video gamey, but I'm loving the nods to popular video games. I feel like I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom, or like following a narrative story inside of Tears of the Kingdom. I really like our main character. I like her friendship with this other character, and I think that there's a third person introduced that is going to do something really interesting in the dynamic between these two girls. It is horror, but it's not scary by any means. I think it's more in like the body horror grotesque elements of the world building here, as we have like fungal incursions and like mutations that are really, really icky and described really well, and I deeply enjoy that though. It's just the scary horror that I absolutely cannot do, and so far, which again, I've got a good half of this left, but so far we haven't edged into that territory, so I'm really enjoying it, and I am flying through it, and I do see myself finishing this one, and potentially even finishing this one. It's so, I don't know, because I really do have every hour of my day booked out tomorrow, but I was doing some beautiful math in my little notebook here. I don't know if you can read this, but I was writing down all of the pages that I had to read at the start of the day to get to the end of the day and like tomorrow. So today I read 637 books. Nope. 637 pages, and I have left to read 401 in order to finish all of the books. And I read about 100 pages an hour, which means that I need to read for about 4 hours tonight before bed. It's already 10 o'clock, or tomorrow during the day. However, I am getting up, I am going to church, I am spending most of the day with my grandmother at the bookstores and traveling, and then I will have like 2-3 hours while she takes her afternoon rest, and I can read, if I read an hour tonight, I read all of that time, and then we're doing a family dinner, a crab feed, because it is getting close to the end of crabbing season, which is so sad. But if I like do that and then I read for like 1 more hour after that, I could finish this. So it's 100% within my ability to actually read these 7 books in 7 days, which is mind blowing that I have managed to accomplish this, or that I could accomplish this. We are not going to get ahead of ourselves, knock on wood. The lighting is terrible because it is 8:30 p.m. However, I have finished my 6th book of the challenge, What Feeds Below by Tatiana Schultz-Bonn. I gave 3.75 stars. This is a hard one to rate because I thought it was going to be a solid 4-star novel throughout most of it. It was pretty fast-paced, a little bit too fast at times because it is only 268 pages, but genuinely the world of this is so interesting and disgusting and grotesque, and I was just really absorbed into learning more about that. The character dynamics were interesting but a little bit flat. And then we get to the ending of this book. There is a moment where everything just switches into a different gear. We've got like, I don't know how to say any of this without spoilers, and I'm being spoiler free, obviously, but things just take a shift and everything really ramps up in a way that feels abrupt and rushed. And it's an interesting idea, but I don't think that it is well executed in the end. And so it just kind of like leaves the book feeling a bit bleh at the ending, when the first part was really good, or at least quite solid, enjoyable. So I feel a little bit like I don't know what to do with this. 3.5, 3.75. Originally it was definitely leaning towards a 4.25. I don't know. I can see why. I really appreciate the things that happened, in the sense of like, I like the choices that the author made. I think that the premise and plot and the plot points and the things that we unpack and unravel during this are really interesting. I just think that the execution wasn't quite there, especially in that ending point. I think this needed 100 more pages to flesh it out a little bit better, and I'm really disappointed that it won't get that. I mean, this is an arc, so it could definitely improve before publication in October. I'm not counting it out, and I wouldn't even say as is that I wouldn't recommend it, because truly this world is awesome, and I do desperately want to play a video game set in this world with this premise even. I think that would be really fun. I think that it wasn't scary, but it was horrifying in many ways. It's definitely leading into the body horror elements, and that is really good and well done. There is so much to love about this novel. It just bothers me a little bit that the execution wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. As for the rest of this challenge, I have 3 hours left, and I think if I lock in, if I do nothing but read from now until midnight, I can still do this. I do have Habits of the Sea by Shea Earnshaw, but I'm kind of waffling on making this my actual choice in the end, because it's 290 pages, which isn't a lot, but this is like a big novel. So 290 pages at this size might not actually be less meaningful than 320 pages at this size, especially because this is going to be paced, I think, a lot more bingeable in one sitting. So I'm kind of leaning towards picking up a rom-com, because I just think that that is like easier to fly through in one sitting, compared to this, which might be a little bit more literary. It might be a little bit more dense. It might require a little bit more brain power, which would slow down my reading a little bit. However, I think this is going to be a better book, a better written book. I also have been struggling with romance because I went through a breakup a little over a month ago, and I haven't picked up a romance book since. So do I want to sit down and read a rom-com? I don't know. But you gotta bite the bullet at some point. You gotta rip the band-aid off, and maybe the motivation of this challenge is the perfect way to do that, because I do have to finish Score by Kennedy Ryan by the end of the month for my book club anyway, so I'm gonna be reading romance in the next week. Might as well rip it off with something that's going to be a little less devastating than Score, which is a second chance romance, and something that I just have to make it through this one evening, this one sitting. But if I do really struggle with this on an emotional level, and I'm dreading reading it and I'm not able to get sucked in, then it's not really going to be meaningfully easier than this. I'm not really sure what to do here, and I wish that this was like a live video so that I could ask you guys your opinion. But I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna go with Shut Out by Avery Keelan. This also has disability rep. I think it's OCD, which I also have, so I love reading books with OCD rep. I like a good sprayed edge moment. I've heard pretty good things. I've been in a bit of a hockey romance mood since off campus. I think I'm gonna go for it. I think this is gonna be it, and I will check in midnight, maybe a little before, if I lock in and read it even faster, Wish me luck. This is the final stretch. This is where we make it or break it. I don't know which way that we're going to go in this moment. I truly do not, but I have hope. So when I tell you I'm taking this seriously, I mean I'm taking this seriously. I started reading Shutout and I was just looking at it and the font is so small. The like kerning feels small too. I'm like, there are so many words on this page. I don't think it's actually that short. And then I realized that you can look up word counts on Kobo. Kobo tells you how many words are in a book. So I was like, okay. So I looked up this. It's 104,000 words. That felt like a lot. So I looked at all of the other short novels or like shorter looking novels that are currently sitting on my shelves right now. And I just like went through every single one of them until I found the shortest one, which was A Practical Guide to Dating a Demon by Hannah Reynolds. This is 95,000 words, which is still not that short, but it is the shortest that I have on hand right now. And I know that I have the rest of my physical TBR back home. I could count that, but I don't like, I am such a, if it's not in front of my face, it doesn't exist person that I can't remember what other books to possibly look up. Like, what is short? I couldn't tell you. I'm also way more excited for this one than I am Shutout and even Habits of the Sea. I'm excited for that one, but I just feel kind of burnt out, and I think like a silly, goofy fantasy rom-com is going to be exactly what I need. I have also given 5 stars to all 3 of Hannah Reynolds' YA contemporary romances, so I think her fantasy romance debut, I have high hopes for this one. It looks like a scholarship student at a magical university is like the daughter of a famous aunt, and all of the boys want her, but not like really. They just want to get to know her aunt. And so she lies and says that she's betrothed to a demon so that they'll leave her alone. And her story's working out perfectly until one night a demon shows up insisting that he is her betrothed. She knows he's lying because she made this up, but he is like resistant to all of her banishing spells, and he has a penchant for baking and home decor. I don't know. It sounds cute, cozy, a little bit of a silly, goofy time. I have high hopes for this one, and I think 95,000 words in 3 hours, we've got this. We're locking in. I'll update you. I'll let you know. It's 10:35. I am 226 pages in, and I have the cutest little purring reading buddy, and I just really wanted to show that off, honestly. It is 11:21 p.m. on Sunday, August 23rd, and I have finished this here book, the 7th book of my 7 books in 7 days challenge, which is absurd on multiple levels. Like, I truly, for so much of this challenge, did not think I was going to finish this. And second of all, I read 350 something pages in 2.5 hours. Apparently when you like really lock in with something because you're under pressure, you can read anything you want, any amount of time you want. I usually read like 120 pages an hour, and this was very, very easy to read. Like, I'm not going to pretend it was anything challenging in any way, shape, or form, because it wasn't. I have thoughts, I have feelings. I will give a full review of this book tomorrow, though, because my brain is mush. I'm so tired from a busy day, from the whole dang week, but I feel very accomplished. I cannot believe that I actually pulled this off after reading nothing for the first like 4 days. I'll see you tomorrow for our little wrap up. We did it. We did it, and I truly cannot believe that we did this, but I read 7 books in 7 days despite not finishing a single book for the first 3.5, 4 days. That is absolutely wild to me, and especially because I did not even pick up a book until after 7 p.m. yesterday. I was so exhausted. I had a wonderful, wonderful day, and I do have a bookstore vlog coming to you guys soon, maybe next week if I'm able to edit and get that one up. I had such a good time, but I am kind of suffering for it today. Unfortunately, I'm in a little bit of a flare, so my head just feels super fuzzy. My eyes like hurt. My back hurts. I'm so tired. So if I seem a little bit out of it for this last little wrap up, my apologies. Not really, I'm not sorry. That's just life with a chronic illness. So I just want to run through my final review for the video, which is A Practical Guide to Dating a Demon by Hannah Reynolds. I wanted to love this. I've given 5 stars to both of her previous novels, and this one got a 3 from me, unfortunately. I think it was too short. It needed a lot more fleshing out. It felt so rushed. We would get a scene or a couple of scenes, like we would get like 1 day's worth of events and happenings, and then we would just skip and pick up the next scene would be 2 weeks later. So it felt like we were progressing through time in a really choppy, awkward way that deeply took me out of the story and also kind of nuked like what real connections I was feeling to the development of the relationship, to the side characters who kind of just popped in and out randomly. And for as much of a part as they played in the end of the story, I wish that I had felt more of a connection to them throughout, but I feel like we only saw them like 1 or 2 times before that. I just think that it needed another 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 words, another 100 pages even, to really flesh out what it was doing here. It was interesting. I say that, but the plot was also like just not my favorite. It wasn't anything super compelling. It was just fine. I did though, I wasn't all bad, okay? I got a 3-star, which for me is okay. 3 is like solidly middle of the line. And so there were definitely some pros. I really loved Naomi, our main character. I also really loved Daziel as a love interest. I found their romance to feel a little bit rushed because of the aforementioned rushedness of this book in its entirety, but like them as individual characters, I found really compelling. I found them interesting. I really liked them. I also loved how unapologetically Jewish this is. It's not, I don't think, directly inspired by any Jewish mythology or folk tales, but it's clear that the world building and the naming conventions and some of the like cultural practices that are discussed in this are from Jewish heritage. And Hannah Reynolds always is very unapologetically Jewish in her novels and like dives really deeply into her culture and heritage in like the stories she explores in her contemporary novels. So it's clearly very, very important to her, and I feel like that just shows so much in the way that she writes it. It's just really, really interesting, and I love that aspect of it. The execution of this one was just not where I wanted it to be, which feels like a common refrain from this, and the reasoning again feels like a common refrain of it's just too rushed. It just needed a little bit more, which makes sense because I am picking up a whole lot of books that I am specifically picking up because they're so short. So it makes sense that a lot of them would feel a little lacking in the length department. I think you can accomplish a story in this many pages though. I just think that the stories in this book and in some of the other ones, especially What Feeds Below, needed for their specific story that they're telling more pages. So it's been a bit of a hit and a miss for the books that I actually read, and I kind of wanted to finish this off with like, not a tier ranking, but just a ranking of least favorite to favorite. So that's how we're gonna finish this off, because a lot of these, I mean the top 2, the first 2 I read were just really good, and those are obviously the top tier, but the other ones are all kind of a toss-up in enjoyment level, and I thought it would be silly goofy. In last place, we have The Surrogate Mother. I landed on 2.75 stars for this one. In 6th place, we have A Practical Guide to Dating a Demon, and that one hurts me to say because I really wanted to love this one. In 5th, we have Until Next Summer by Allison Ashley. 4th is going to be What Feeds Below by Tatiana Schultz-Bahn. This one is the first one that I'm like, I didn't love it. I wanted more from it, but I still think it was good. In 3rd place, we have, I don't want to turn on my Kindle right now, but I'll just put it up here. The River Has Roots. I'm so proud of myself for getting the title on this one after struggling with it for most of the first half of this video. I gave this one 4 stars. I think I might have said 4.25 stars in my original, but I think I'm narrowing it down to 4. Again, I just wanted more from it. I'm sorry. Novellas just for me don't always go great. In 2nd place, I'm gonna go with Homegoing by Yagyasi because I am ranking these on like my personal enjoyment level, and this was just so far out of my comfort zone that while I loved it, I gave it 5 stars. I do think it'll stick with me for a long time, and it is so incredibly written, the best written book that I read. My enjoyment of it was just a little bit lower because it's not something I'm used to. It's a little bit harder of a read, and in the headspace that I've been in, as exhausted as I've been in, and having to rush it into just a couple of days as well, like I think I did a little bit of a disservice to this. I probably will reread this one in my lifetime, but enjoyment-wise, it's going to go in 2nd place, but know that it's still phenomenal, 5 stars, and you should read it. And then 1st place, that leaves us with A Forsaken Prophecy by Stacey McEwen, because I just needed a silly, goofy, fun, flying through, fast-paced hell of a time, and that is so delivered on this, while still making you think, while still having a really compelling storyline and just wonderfully crafted characters and such a fascinating world. I cannot recommend this series more. Even if you're on the fence about romantasy, if you're like, I rarely like romantasy, but like sometimes, or like I feel like I want to like it more, this is one that's worth picking up. This is so, so, so incredible. If you have any takeaways from this video, let it be that you should read Homegoing, you should read A Forsaken Prophecy. They are phenomenal. And you know what? I feel very successful. I didn't think I was gonna be able to do it, and yet I did. I've been struggling to read. These were like the only books I've read all month, and it is currently August 24th. So that tells you a lot about where I was at in my reading slump up to this moment, and the fact that I managed to lock in and read 7 books in 7 days is truly so impressive to me. And I'm hoping it sticks around, although I'm feeling kind of burnt out and like I never want to touch another book again after forcing myself through that in the last few days, but we'll see. Thank you so much for sticking around with me, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more vlog style videos from me, let me know. If you want to see recommendation videos, also let me know. I'm really looking forward to getting more into the long form content here, so if you want to follow along with that journey, I hope you'll like, subscribe, all of those wonderful things, and I'll see you with that bookstore vlog coming soon.